Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Dual Screens versus right here on Dual Screens Podcast Network. I am one of your hosts, Stephen Fontana, and my opponent each and every week, even when we're not doing this show, he's always my opponent in life, is Andy Asimakis. How are you doing, Andy?
I hate you more than I can ever verbalize.
Bring it. Today is going to be fire. It's going to be fire. Okay?
It's gonna be lit.
It's
so lit.
It is. It will be quite lit.
With us, I'm very excited about this. To be honest,
you should be. You should be. This is going to be a good show. With us this week, he is the author of The Minds Behind the Games and The Minds Behind the Adventure Games. And he has a brand new book, The Minds Behind the Sports Games, coming soon. And another, The Minds Behind the Shooter Games, hitting shelves this winter. White Thunder himself, the one, the only, the Caucasian Sensation in the flesh, Patrick Hickey Jr. Welcome,
What's up,
Patrick.
guys? So you made a very big mistake by giving me access to the Google Doc before the show. I mean,
no, that's the worst decision.
I just had to touch episode. It, So
right. And the top tier professional that I am, I just rolled with it because I just noticed that as I was reading it that it was changed.
It was there, and I'm just like, yeah, let's see what I could do.
Let's see what I could get. For those of you that are new to this show, this is a seasonal show here. We were only a couple of episodes in, but this is how it works. Andy and I are going to debate on various topics, okay? That's really as simple as it is. Our guest moderator, Patrick, is going to give us points willy-nilly and declare whoever the hell the winner is based on our arguments. We're going to make each one of us, Andy and I, will have 60 seconds to make our main points, and then we'll have some like 30-second rebuttals until Patrick has heard enough, and then we move on to the next thing. But our first segment, and we're just going to jump right into it, is going to be the warm-up section, and this is where it is going to be rapid fire. Patrick is going to ask us a bunch of questions. We're going to give him very short, succinct answers, and he's going to give us points to determine who the winner of the segment is. So, Patrick, I'm going to just hand it right over to you.
Well, thank you, Stephen. This is how it goes out. No, I'm gonna score you guys on a scale from 1 to 10 to just make it easier.
All right.
Okay. All right. So here we go. Most underrated NES game of all time.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Part 1.
Okay. Why?
I believe that because it's in the shadow of all the other TMNT games, specifically 2, and I even think Manhattan Project, which is really, really good. It wasn't the same as them. It wasn't the same type of game as them. So people kind of disregard it. It was also very difficult. But once you really get into it and you really like put your mind to it, that game is really, really fantastic. Great boss battles. Just the mechanic of getting turtles captured and being able to rescue them and find them and just kind of the open world GTA nature of it in some aspects. It's a really underrated game.
Okay, 5 points.
Woo!
Good, Andy.
I'm also going to go the Konami route. But I'm going to say Life Force. And that was the sequel to Gradius because it gets lost in the shadow of Gradius, I feel. And it was the first to add real 2-player co-op and top-down isometric level as opposed to the side-scrolling level. So it was a great sequel, too. So it did what the first one, but way better.
Okay, 7 for Andy.
Nice. Okay. Well done.
Just Steven hurt himself when he said GTA style. So
with that top-down stuff, you know what I mean.
And a lot of really, but he was good. You guys are both good. All right, so next one. Most overrated PS4 game. Andy.
I am going to say God of War.
Oh, God. That's
Why?
not true at all.
Overrated. Well, we've seen a lot of Kratos over the years, and he's got a beard now. He's got a kid. It's like, I'm kind of over it. It's like, I get it. It's kind of over. I'm done with it. He's an old character. He's all rage and stuff. Yeah, he's a softer touch now, but he's not worth the hype.
Okay. 4 for Andy. Go ahead, Steve.
I'm going to go with Horizon Zero Dawn. As much as I enjoyed the game and I really love the game, I feel like it did a lot of very, very similar things to other games in the genre, in the open world genre, and didn't quite nail a lot of the side missions. They were very samey, kind of boring. You come up to a lot of the same enemies over and over again. The story was good, but it really, I want more from it, and I'm hoping that the sequel adds to the formula.
Okay, 6 for Steven. So we're both tied at 11 so far. All right, so
it's getting interesting.
Favorite indie game go with Steve first.
I'm still gonna go. I'm still gonna go with Moonlighter. That game was really special to me. I don't know if you played, did a deep dive into that one, but that's just so much fun to just dungeon dive, collect resources and stuff, and then just open your shop and sell it. It's one of those games that's kind of your heart can pound in 1 minute, and then you're just kind of selling and having fun and kind of relaxing the next. It's a lot of fun. I think that they did a fantastic job with that game.
Okay, 7 for Steven. Go ahead, Andy.
I'm gonna go Hollow Knight because it's a fantastic Metroidvania without changing the formula too much. It ditches sprites for its own unique hand-drawn, gorgeous art style, and it has one of the most fantastic soundtracks ever produced in gaming. Period.
Okay. 8 for Andy. So we're going to go, speaking of soundtracks, to the best original soundtrack in a game. So we'll go with Steven first.
Oh man, that is so tough. And Andy knows this topic way better than I do. Like he knows like names of songs and composers because he's like an encyclopedia of that shit.
Dumb shit.
But I mean, some of the ones that just stick in my head are again Konami games, like Contra. I think Contra has one of those just instantly recognizable. I mean, OG Contra, just instantly recognizable level music. Just like you could hear it in your head. You could do them in order if you you just know the songs that are coming up next. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with Contra.
Okay, so 8 for Steven. Very good.
And I'm also gonna go the Konami route. It's a theme in this episode, I guess. It's gonna be Silent Hill 2.
Interesting.
One of the most perfect soundtracks ever conceived. It has piano for the sad parts in the game. This like guitar riffs against rust and metal sounds to really highlight the tension and the fear of the game. It's just it captures every human emotion imaginable in a soundtrack.
Okay, we're gonna
fear,
go
to sadness and all that stuff.
I'm gonna go with 9.
Nice.
For Andy.
Well done.
You guys are stepping it up, man. Okay, so back to Andy for hottest babe in a game.
Ooh, hottest babe in the game. I'm gonna say Aya Brea from Parasite Eve.
Okay.
She is a no nonsense cop who can kick ass and take names. Who she's sexy and she's full of style, and like she won't let any man put her down. Like she's a take charge gal, and she's very empowering. Yeah, and she has a good pair of titties on her as well.
Okay, all right, great. And I'm a big fan of that game too, so I'm going to go with a 9 for Andy for that one. So I was just watching the CGI for that game the other day, and the cutscenes are still beautiful.
They still hold up really well. Yeah,
they hold up great. So yeah, and her eyes, there's so much expression in her eyes. So Square's the short blonde hair, but like Square knew how to like make women beautiful without going like too over the top. I mean, except for like Tifa, who
they made women so beautiful that they also made their male protagonists beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So go ahead, Steve. I
mean, there's really no other answer. I mean, I get it, Andy. You got a hard on for that game, but every boy got a hard on for Lara Croft from the very beginning, even when she was pixelated with torpedo boobs. Lara Croft is the video game babe. There is no other recognizable video game babe like Lara Croft. I mean, we had Angelina Jolie play her in a movie, for God's sakes. I mean, come on. It doesn't get any hotter than that in 1999.
All right, so
that's my whole argument.
Yeah. All right, so we'll give him a 9 there as well. That was very good. All right, so best Marvel game.
Okay. Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I think there are a lot of obvious answers, but I feel like that game is just so perfect in the fighting genre. It's one of those games you could pick up and play. Anybody could pick up and play. It's one of those games that a child could just button mash and see the most incredible on-screen combos and crazy flashy graphics and stuff. It just instantly drags you in. And I want to take you for a ride. Boom, down. And that's it. That's all I have to say about that.
All right, we got 8 for Steven. Go ahead, Andy.
I'm gonna go with that Marvel Spider-Man game. It was an arcade game. You could play as Spider-Man, Captain America, Namor, and one other person. I forget who it was, but it was like such a fun 4-player arcade game.
Wow!
And it was a side-scrolling beat 'em up, and great soundtrack, great characters. Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
That was a fun game.
Going with that one. I'm going with that one.
Yeah, It's definitely an underrated gem. I'm going to give you a 6 on that one. Okay, best Pokemon spin-off. Go ahead, Andy.
Oh, Pokemon Snap. There's no debate.
Close. Yeah.
I mean, you're going around being a voyeur, snapping pics of all these Pokemon in the wild. It's really dumb, but also at the same time really fun to play, and it works for some really weird reason.
So, important question: did you guys ever go and print out your stickers?
I did.
Of course. I believe I was also able to print them out on like Game Boy camera, right? Wasn't there a way to like back channel that thing?
That's awesome.
You know what? I think
Andy, you got a 9, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, it was good. Your explanation was good, but I can't argue with that. So I'm going to agree with you and say that Pokemon Snap is one of those games that kind of stands the test of time. It's one of the games that people want to see more of, especially with the Switch and how it has the gyroscope and it has, it's like tailor made for a Pokemon Snap game. I think it changed what a spinoff could be. Nintendo gets very creative with that kind of thing now, and so I'm gonna wholeheartedly agree with you.
All right, so we'll give you a 10 for that one. That was very good. All right, Andy, favorite Animal Crossing character?
Oh, it's Tom Nook. He's a bitch, because he's like the mob of the whole game. It's like you're devoting all these hours to getting all this stuff done at his whim to satisfy his needs. And that kind of power that he wields, that's something in a character.
I think he's like the perfect landlord for like the coronavirus, because he's like, you can't pay your rent. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's okay. Take your time. You want to build a bridge? But
he has like a little semi Mr. Roper thing. Like he'll still kick your ass and kick you out if you don't get your shit done on time.
Mr. Roper. Oh my God. All right. Yeah, that's a 10. Go ahead. Mr. Roper. Now I'm gonna have a Three's Company guitar solo in my head the rest of the day.
I'm not gonna pick one of the like mainstays, the ones that are always on your island. I'm gonna pick somebody that just showed up on my island, and I think he's hysterical. And his name is Chow. He's like this pink panda bear. He's totally like cranky and rude, but he sounds like that, and I love it. And he towers over you, which is also fun. And he doesn't take any shit from you. When you go in his house, he's like, "Hey, I'm busy, thanks." And you're like, "Oh, okay, all right, easy, fella." I just like him. He just showed up on my island, and I really dig him.
Awesome. 7. Okay.
What'd you give Andy on that? 10? I don't remember.
10. Yeah, right. 10.
Okay.
All right, Steve.
Yes.
Best Sega franchise not named Sonic.
Probably Phantasy Star. I think Phantasy Star has just a insane cult following still to this day. Phantasy Star Online and all that stuff. I think they did their characters, even though they're not in my zeitgeist, they are recognizable to a very large group of RPG fans. So I think Phantasy Star was it was the Final Fantasy of Sega. So I think I'm going with that.
Okay. 8. Okay. Go ahead, Andy.
I'm going Yakuza, because there's a series that makes you want to live in Japan. It's that game. It was a GTA, but not quite GTA. It embraced everything that was crazy and zany about Japan in this amazing, beautiful backdrop. Yes, that's why I'm going Yakuza.
Okay, 9. All right. Last game to make you cry.
Andy?
I'm going The Last Guardian.
Oh, okay.
That ending really got me. Don't want to spoil too much, but after playing for about 8 hours with that Falcor Griffin thing, that Falcor chicken bird monstrosity, and you grow so attached to it, seeing how that game ends really got me in the feels. And the build up to the ending, I was weeping like towards the end, and then full out bawling by the time the end sequence came.
Okay. 9.
I think I want to say the last time was probably Uncharted 4, although Final Fantasy 7 has come close on multiple occasions just from nostalgic purposes. But yeah, I think Uncharted 4 is probably the one. Just the ending, how everything kind of wrapped up with Drake and Elena and the kid and all that stuff. I just thought that was really cool, and it got me all emotional.
7.
Okay.
Okay, that was 10 questions.
That's it. That's your 10 questions now. There's a lot of math here, so I don't know if any of you have been following along. I just wrote down all the numbers, but we can tally those up if you want.
Yeah, let's tally them up.
All right, hold on. Let me get the old calculatore because there's a lot of numbers here.
That's what she said.
I am yeah. All right, I am at. I'm at 75 points, Andy.
Wow. That's a lot of points.
I'm at 75.
Good on you. And how much more do I have?
How much more is correct?
Shit.
That's a good way to put that. Although you did come up with the lowest point value of any one round.
But it don't matter.
No matter who won.
Highest, too.
Who won?
Indeed. Hold on, I'm doing it. Relax. You are at. Why can't 9?
More than 75.
You are at 80.
Okay. Ooh. So we got a C+ and a B.
There you go.
We're getting there. All right, so now we're getting into our first official round. So that was our warm-ups, and we are already almost at 100 points each. So this is way different from last week, where I think we had like a total of 8 points after
my
round
God.
one. So this is great. I like this. Every moderator brings something different to the table. So the first one is going to also be, this one's gaming. This is a gaming topic. This is a question that Patrick is going to give to us. We are going to have 60 seconds to make our arguments for or against. It doesn't matter which one of us picks what. We can make the same. We could choose the same side of the argument. It's just a matter of what the argument is. So Patrick, take it away. What is our first topic here?
The first topic is Animal Crossing the best quarantine game?
All right. And who would you like to go first?
Since Andy won the first round, though, we'll let him make the decision if he wants to go first or if he wants to.
Would you like to defer?
I'm going to defer.
Interesting.
Okay. Actually,
interesting.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. Now this may surprise you, and I started my timer. I have 1 minute. This may surprise you, but I don't think it's the best quarantine game, and here's why: the game was not built to be played with the whole world not doing anything. People are finishing and rolling credits or getting full catalogs in a week to 2 weeks time, all because everybody has nothing better to do. So everybody's kind of helping each other. Everyone's breaking the whole turnip market by having these massive online communities where like, hey, I got 600 today, and everybody floods their island to sell and just break the economy in their island. So I think that it definitely wasn't meant to be played where everybody's sitting at home doing nothing. Otherwise, it probably would be because of how much you could actually do in that game. But yeah, I don't think that it was meant to be played this way, unfortunately.
See, but the fact that it wasn't made to be played this way, but considering everything that's going on and the community that's being built for the game is a direct result of what's going on. What do you think of that?
I think
that's correct. Yeah.
I think there are some balancing things that they're going to have to do, and the seasonal content that they have coming out, like various events and stuff like that, does switch it up a little bit and make it a little bit more diverse. Even though you can kind of blow through things very quickly. I mean, I'm taking my time because I choose not to go to those massive islands and catalog everything and just make everything. I'm kind of taking my time with it. But a lot of people are not. So
yeah, I think it's a great hour a day game.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yep.
Cool. All right, 7 points.
Woo! I'll take it.
So my case for this is that it's also not the best quarantine game, but for different reasons. And the reason being is this game is meant to be played in short bursts. And to that case, you can't really get the most out of it when you're locked in home and not working. You want to utilize your time playing a game that has a lot more depth and things to do. A game like a Witcher 3, for example, or Skyrim. These kind of games with so many quests and such depth, those are the best quarantine games. If you're at home, not working, not much to do, sink into a game that's hundreds of hours to play. Not a little hour or two a day, go to my island, get my turnips, and then you put away for the rest of the day. This is like you wake up, you play for 10 hours, and then you go to bed. And you make an honest dent in it during the quarantine.
Okay. I'm going to give him an 8. Man, I completely agree. I think if the Switch has shown us anything, it's that people make a game play the way that they want to. So I think that's one of the
Yep.
that's one of the reasons why like so many people have they've destroyed Animal Crossing, but like in the best way possible. I mean, some of these communities and some of the designs people have come up with are just amazing, and they've made the game so much more cooler and immersive. I would love to have like a real Fallout game for the Switch. Because with me, I mean, Steve, I don't know how things are in your house, but it's like the TV, the kids own, my daughter owns the TV. I'm not, I can't play the PlayStation 4 like the way that I used to. So that's why I have the Switch, but I feel like the Switch, I don't want to play Skyrim over again on the Switch, you know? So yeah, so for as of right now, Animal Crossing is like my quarantine game. So for better or for worse.
Quarantino. All right, so now it is time for round 2. Okay, and this is the movies and television section here. And it's the same rules apply. We're each going to have 60 seconds to make our case and then see what happens from there. Maybe Patrick wants us to elaborate. Maybe he's going to change things up. We don't know because he's the boss and he makes the rules.
I'm Tony Danza, fucking Tony Danza over here.
That's right.
So the question is, Angela, why do movies based on games suck?
All right. So Andy, I went first last time. Do you want to go first this time?
Okay. Yes, I think there's 2 things happening here. It's producers suck and mainstream audiences suck. So you have producers who are working in many ways opposed to a director and a vision for a game, for a movie based on a game. And it has to have some sort of mass appeal to it because gaming, you know, it's widespread, but in terms of movie-going audiences, it's a different demographic altogether. So how can we make this property have the most appeal? So what happens is you have to dumb things down to such a level that you can maybe hope to break even on your investment. And, you know, most producers are older men who don't know video games all that well.
Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah. So you have those 2 things that work really against.
Put Selma Hayek in it. She'll know what to do.
Right. And the perfect case is Sonic the Hedgehog with the initial take on his appearance.
Yep.
You got it so wrong out the gate. And that shows you. Yeah.
All right. Great. What's Andy, just give me one really quick away from Sonic. Give me another movie game that just dropped a ball that had so much potential.
Oh man, Silent Hill. Okay. Great visually, but the writing was a total joke in that movie.
Okay, cool. Yeah. 9. Very good.
9 points. Nice. Well done. For me, it comes down to that the mediums tell stories in very different ways, and unfortunately for video games are meant to be played over many hours, and the stories are much more slow burn. And what video game audiences, the people that want to go see those movies that played the games, they almost want a retelling of the game. For whatever reason, they can't get away from wanting that. I think what the industry really needs to do is tell side stories with those characters if they want it to be successful, but they need to communicate that in a better way and really hold the characters to the standard that the video games hold them to. Unfortunately, the closest ones we've gotten that kind of hold the structure of the games are kind of lackluster in the fact that the writing is rushed. You're missing plots. There's no character development because you're getting used to a character over sometimes a 20-hour game. Like the new Tomb Raiders are 20-25 hours, and then we got a movie that just simply wasn't. So that was my minute. Sorry.
All right, Steve, give me your worst gaming movie that had a ton of potential.
I think it I want to go back to Tomb Raider because it did have a really good actress. It had really good visuals. It was coming off of a reboot of the franchise. It had a ton of potential. The coming attraction, you know, the previews looked really good, but then it just fell flat on its face. It felt like it was soulless. Like it didn't have anything that makes Tomb Raider magical, like explorative. It just became another action movie that you would see on Channel 11 in 5 years, you know, with all of the cool parts edited out for time and for graphic, you know, nature. I don't know. It's just, that one to me could have been the one that really set the bar for what video game movies should be as far as cinematic adventures, and it fell flat on its face.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a 9 too. Man, no one talks about this movie, but Max Payne.
Oh
how do you fuck up Max Payne?
Max Payne was a movie. Like, the game was a movie.
The writing, Sam Lake's writing in that game is amazing. It's based on Norse mythology. It's beautifully done. All you literally have to do is take the game, put an actor and a bunch of actors there.
It's basically done for you already.
Yeah. So I remember the first time I saw it, I'm like, what did they do? You know, we could all talk about like Mario Brothers and stuff like that. But
right,
like,
the obvious choices, yeah.
Yeah, but how do you fuck up?
Or Double Dragon for that
Or
matter.
Double Dragon, yeah. So, but how do you fuck up Max Payne when like the work is like pretty much done already? You know,
Alone in the Dark, that one. Christian Slater, what happened to you?
The Resident Evil, like, the first movie was pretty cool because it differentiated itself from the video game franchise enough where it was interesting, and then they just went batshit fucking crazy with clones and
they kept making money. That's China for you.
But that's fine. But like, what is this? What are we telling here? This isn't
low
even
effort
close
and
to
high profit.
But it wasn't. That's the thing. Like, they were CG circle jerk fests. Like, they put a ton of money into creating those movies,
and 3D. That was big in the day, too.
They were completely devoid of what made Resident Evil Resident Evil.
Hey, we got the dogs, we got Nemesis, we got like Claire. Look, it's Chris. Hey, Chris.
That play the game.
It's a good movie now.
No, the movie is shit.
And Wesker's there. There's Wesker.
You know how good a movie based on that mansion would be? Just like a claustrophobic, like, it doesn't even need to be true horror. You could make it almost like a horror, Die Hard, where it's just about survival. You could tell
that in 2 hours, though. Easily.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can tell that story.
Yeah, because you don't need to have the characters look for like crests to open a gate in the backyard. Like, you don't need that shit in a movie.
You could have it end with them with the underground lab being discovered as a good sequel.
I'll never forget. Like, I read a review of that movie like 3 days after it came out, and I was getting ready to see it, and they just gave away like all the deaths. In the review, like, they're like, oh, the lasers come up and turn the guy into like ground beef, and I'm just like,
why are you the worst reviewer ever that ever reviewed?
Now I have no reason to watch this movie, you know. So, but yeah, all right.
That's how you review things. That's like the anti-review.
All right, so round 3, the best Konami game after the NES and Super Nintendo life cycle. So anything PS1,
so many choices
and further. But we're knocking out all of the obvious choices.
Oh, of course.
So
I mean, sort of. I mean, I feel like the best remaining one, in my opinion, the one that kind of changed everything is Metal Gear
you get
Solid,
to go
right?
first? So you get to go first?
Go ahead.
It doesn't matter. We're probably going to... I mean, I know what he's going to choose, but I'm going with Metal Gear Solid. I think that, you know, it's a perfect video game to me. It's a perfect 10 out of 10, like, just gorgeous, beautiful, cinematic. It kind of changed what I thought video games could be. Where, you know, it was all about shooty, bang, bang, all this other stuff, and then like you see these crazy movie-like camera angles. You're like, what am I doing? Am I playing a movie right now? Like, I should record this and watch this later because it's a movie. That's what I'm doing. And it completely opened a new door to me as a gamer, that there are other games out there that can tell compelling stories and hook you with main characters and really just blow you away with scale. And it was also probably the first true 3D game that didn't feel like a children's game to me. And to me, that just puts it on a pedestal above pretty much anything else, especially in that PS1 and 64 era of gaming.
Okay. I'm going to say something that you guys may not agree with.
Oh, go ahead.
Metal Gear Solid is one of the most overrated games on the PS1. I think it's a great game. I think it, for all of the reasons that Steven said, it's different, it's cinematic, it's got great scope. It allows you to do things that you couldn't do in other games, like the crawling through the vents, and, you know, the voice acting in the game was totally ahead of its time, but it just moved so fucking slow. I felt like Peter Griffin, like somebody throw a pie already, like playing Metal Gear. I loved it, but I had to be in the mood to play it. It wasn't one of those other Konami games where even the original Metal Gear, you have to be in the mood to play it.
That original Metal Gear is almost unplayable if you don't have a guide. Like, just the different places you're supposed to go, in the order you're supposed to go, the way the map works is asinine. You can just keep going around in circles. It's
still an amazing game, but the pacing is so different, and it's just Kojima. It's just the way he does business. He's completely. But those are just my opinions. But like you got an 8, Steve. That was great.
Okay. Now, before I go, Steven, what do you think I'm going to say? Is what I'm wondering. Right the answer may shock you.
I mean, I could go with the obvious, like the Parasite Eves of the world. I know how much you're into that, but
well, that's we're gonna take a point off of Steven's answer.
No,
Steven's got a 7 now on his first answer for saying Parasite Eve.
You know what? That's not what
Konami game. So
that's not what I meant.
That's not what I meant, but that's what I think you
meant the Silent Hill, though. Is what you're trying to say.
Is that what you meant? All right, so we'll give you the point back.
But I don't think you're gonna go with the obvious, unfortunately.
I'm not. I am going to go with a classic Konami game, and that is Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
When this game was released, it was a time where 3D graphics were all the craze. You had your Crash Bandicoots and all those things. And yet here comes this pixel platformer game, beautiful sprites, hand-drawn sprites, and still makes an impact that is felt decades later in the gaming industry. This game was the quintessential Metroidvania title. It set the standard under which all future games in this genre be measured against, hands down. It had one of the best soundtracks. It had the cheesiest acting ever that till this day still stands up. Mm-hmm. What is a man? What is a man? That is like the classic line in Castlevania. Plus, for the first time, you're playing as Dracula's son in a solo adventure, Alucard, and it totally changed the dynamic. So you lose the whip for a sword, and you turn to a bat, into mist,
into a wolf.
No, I'm not a hater. It's just they named him Alucard, which is just Dracula backwards. That's stupid.
It's what the townspeople called him because he was Dracula's son. He was he was a backwards Dracula.
Did he walk on his hands?
That was his code. That was his code name. It wasn't his real name. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure.
And also the fact that you got 2 games out of this. Like when you thought the game was over and they did the whole inverse castle thing,
did you have the glasses?
That blew gamers' minds back in the day. And there was a whole other.
You know what else blew gamers' minds? Having to take your controller out and put it in player 2.
And that's all.
Psycho Mantis reading your memory card.
That was awesome.
But your time is over. But your time is over.
Rebuttal, sir.
So,
Patrick, can you score us, please?
Yeah. So Andy got a 10 because that's my pick as well. So this is the thing too, man. Symphony of the Night did something that not a lot of games wanted to do back then. Mm-hmm. It didn't have to reinvent the wheel. It just had to make the wheel work the best possible way that it could. So, like, again, doesn't need to go 3D. I'm sure you guys have played those 3D Castlevanias on the Nintendo 64.
Yeah, they're not good.
Yeah, they're definitely not good. But see,
I would argue the PS2 one, the first one, Lament of Innocence, is actually pretty good.
Oh, yeah, it is. It is.
Great
that
game,
is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one is actually pretty good. It feels a little bit like Devil May Cry, but it's still a great Castlevania game.
Great controls on that one too.
The thing that I loved about Symphony of the Night is that it also embraced games that were not made by Konami that were released a decade before. So if you've ever played Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Curse, or Dragon's Trap, you start the game and you're fucking completely superpowered, and then you beat a boss, and then you have to start from scratch. I mean, that was one of the first games that you actually did that, and for Konami to like pay like respect to like Nishizawa-san and all of those classic Metroidvania games that were competition for Castlevania, and then raise the bar so much higher than like any Wonder Boy game ever did back then. I mean, that's one of the reasons.
The whole gothic setting in that game alone is worth it, and that soundtrack is just it's up there with some of the best soundtracks ever conceived.
The amount of weapons in the game is great. The amount of powers.
And the glitches, and if you want to speedrun this game, you can go through walls and shit. It's the craziest thing you'll ever see.
There's just so
I gotta revisit
much
that game.
There's just so much to like about that game.
Gotta get through Bloodstained first. Get that. I don't want to get fatigued. So the final score is 99 to 107 in favor of Andy. You have won. You've done it, Andy. I will gladly wear my dunce cap. A winner is you, Andy. A winner is you. All right, Patrick. Before we tell everybody and do the closing stuff, tell everybody where they can find everything you do.
So I am on Instagram at Patrick Hickey Jr. PatrickHickeyJr. I'm at Twitter at ReviewFixPat. I'm on Facebook at Patrick Hickey Jr. You can buy my books at patrickhickeyjr.com/books, or they are available wherever fine books are sold online because no one's going to a bookstore now. So Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, Books A Million, Amazon, wherever you want. So got the minds behind the sports games coming in June/July, the minds behind the shooter games in December or January, and I'm wrapping up the minds behind the Sega Genesis games right now, and I just started another project that I'm not announcing yet, but it's going to be badass.
The hardest working dude in video game historical book writing. That's you, for sure.
That's not named Pat Country, because, he works a lot harder than I do,
Hard eye roll, I sense. Folks, if you want to follow us on social media, we are at NDS Podcast. I am at Batchild27. Andy is at Pantsguy. And our Facebook is facebook.com/groups/DS Podcasts. And you can also follow us at facebook.com/dualscreens.com. That's just like our business page, whatever. I don't know. We do stuff on there sometimes. If you want to watch our YouTube videos, it's youtube.com/dualscreenstv. And if you are watching this currently on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up, give us a subscription, and possibly hit that notification bell so that you know when we have a show coming on live. Check out our other shows. We have the Dual Screens Podcast. That's an interview show where we bring on industry guests to tell us their story. Programmer, artist, game designers, whoever they are, voice actors, they all have a story to tell, and we bring them on our show to talk about their lives, their careers, and the games that they're working on. We also have the Dual Screens Gamescast, which streams live on twitch.tv/dualscreenstreams every Sunday night and posts on your podcast service of choice on Mondays. And everything is on the same podcast network. So you subscribe to one channel, you get all of our content as far as podcasts go. Patrick, it was an absolute pleasure having you on, as always. You are officially the most frequent guest of all of our content, and we love you very much, and we appreciate you coming out.
You're good, yo. You're good, yo. You're good.
And I look forward to reading more of your books. I rip through them very quickly. Awesome. So, Andy, thank you very much for hanging out. Patrick,
it was great.
It was a pleasure. And listeners and viewers, as always, please be excellent to each other.